Hey, REI Club members, George Uno here again. This is my second interview, and this is with the legendary LeGrand. He's been in real estate for over 40 years. He's been educating us for 33. He's written multiple best-selling books. He's got courses covering every topic in real estate investing you could possibly think of, and then some you probably couldn't think of. Ron, how are you today? How's Jacksonville?
If you saw the weather down here, George, you'd want to instantly be looking for a place to live. If I were to go anywhere in the country here today, I could not find better weather than we have in Jacksonville, Florida. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I hear it's even going to be nicer tomorrow for Thanksgiving. And I got a whole bunch of people coming over for dinner.
Wow. I wish I was on that list, but I better get looking for properties down there.
Well, they all have to bring something to eat or they can't come.
Oh, I've got candied yams that I've never made that haven't been an absolute hit.
Yeah.
So we've got your terms product coming up, and would you mind telling us a little bit about your thoughts on how you're using terms to get creative and really like minimize your investment, minimize your risk, and still maximizing your profit?
Well, listen, if it has to do with real estate, I've pretty much done it all. Single families now for 40 years, commercial for a long time, still do commercial to this very day. I have a mastermind group of commercial students who partner with me on deals. I've done wholesale, I've done rehab, at least 1,000 of each. And when it all said and done over the period of years, my favorite is the terms business. That means we buy them on terms and we sell them on terms. And actually, we don't even sell them. We lease option them out on terms, except for you Texans that are watching, you can't do that. And because there's so many different income streams in the terms business that you don't get in the ugly house side. Because when I buy a house, I don't rehab it. It's in excellent condition or close when we buy it. But we buy it on terms, so we don't have to go raise capital. We don't have to worry about private money. And frankly, anybody that has hung around me very long knows that I absolutely forbid anyone to go guarantee debt to buy a house. That's ridiculous. And the biggest risk you could take in real estate, and the biggest mistake you can make, is going down to the bank and guaranteeing debt, which sticks with you for years and can take you out. And it has many before you. So we buy houses without guaranteeing. Credit is totally, absolutely irrelevant. We don't need credit at all. Nobody's going to check your credit report. In fact, I tell everybody when they come in, I hope their credit score is a minus 680, then they won't be tempted to use it because we don't need it. And very little money, many deals without money, some deals take a little bit of money. And any money we put out, George, we get back very quickly with a much larger check. And since we're buying them on terms, we have a lot of them with nothing down. We buy some of them with a down payment, but a relatively small down payment, especially compared to the prices. We buy them in prices anywhere from the median price on up to the 7 figures. And frankly, it didn't take long to learn that the more higher prices you work in, the more dollars you get, because our paydays are the big non-refundable option deposits measuring in the thousands, not in the hundreds. Non-refundable means they know they'll get it back unless they buy and then they get it credited. If they move, they lose it. Clearly stated up front, close with an attorney. So one of the big paydays are those non-refundable deposits, and they're going to range somewhere around the 10% mark, give or take, when we're putting tenant buyers in the houses. Remember, we're dealing with nice houses, nice neighborhoods, not crack houses in the war zones. We're dealing in price ranges that people got the money, they just can't qualify at the bank. So we're catering to the 70% of the people who would like to buy a house but can't qualify at the bank. Huge, huge market. And we're the gatekeeper, because we don't expect them to be qualified. In fact, I don't want them to be qualified, because my whole reason for being in this business is put them in the house, give them plenty of time to clean up whatever's broke, fix what's broke, and then go get a loan if they want to. But the reality is most of them never go get the loan. They wind up moving out later, forfeiting their deposit, clear understanding they're going to forfeit it, and then we just put another tenant buyer in there. If they do cash us out, great, we get a payday, long-term capital gains, and monthly cash flow along the way, big payday up front, debt pay down, appreciation, depreciation. We get all the benefits of owning real estate without all the hassles. Because when I put a tenant buyer in a house and I collect their $20, $30, $40, $50,000 non-refundable deposit, they are responsible for the repairs, 100% of them, after the first 30 days. I warrant the systems for 30 days, and after that, they're all on them. So we have no repairs. We don't have the grief that people have renting houses. And I'll tell you, Georgia, for the life of me, after doing this for so long, I cannot understand why anybody would straight rent a house, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Put a tenant buyer in them, ladies and gentlemen. Don't rent them, rent to own them. Believe me, big non-refundable deposit, repairs go on them. That's reason enough right there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I hear, well, what if they buy? Well, you take the check and run and go get another one, for crying out loud. But I wouldn't worry about it, because most of my buyers do not buy, period.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have if someone wants to buy the house from you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then in this market, more of them are closing out. But I'm telling you right now, most of them, majority of them, are never going to buy the house. And again, I doing everything I promised. They decide they don't want to buy for multiple reasons. They live there a year, 2 years, whatever. And in my case, they can live there as long as they want. I don't care. I'm never going to move them out as long as they're paying rent. Mm-hmm. But their option will expire probably a couple of years into the deal. Then it's up to me what I want to do with them. No, I do nothing. I just click collecting the rent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is such a great strategy you've developed. And let's dive into it. So basically you talk about, getting these properties without personally guaranteeing anything. I mean, that's not allowed on Planet Ron, from what I understand.
Correct. Punishment.
So
pain. Yep. If I catch you doing
it. And so you're using seller financing to buy these deals, correct?
I'm buying them with seller financing, or I'm taking over the debt subject to, or I'm leasing them with a right to sublease them, sandwich leasing. Right.
And then so off of that, then you go and you sell them to your tenant buyers as lease options, right?
Correct.
And that's got so many benefits.
And most states do the same. Texas has to do sell them with owner financing.
Mm-hmm. But you prefer the lease options over the seller financing. Absolutely. When you go to sell.
I do indeed. When I lease option it, I keep the depreciation. Right. And I get long-term capital gains when they do sell. When I sell it with owner financing, there is no long-term capital gains and there is no depreciation. I don't own the house anymore.
Yeah, that's such a big thing if you can leverage your tax plan.
Well, you better believe it. The more money you make, the more you better not forget your partner and forget you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you want all your students to be in the 37% tax bracket, and we're all working our way there.
Yeah, good. Help me support this government. Help me. So, come on, help me waste more money. Give it to the government.
All right. So then, when you come to lease option, how hard is it to find those tenant buyers? I mean, you said 70% of the market.
Yeah. Look, finding tenant buyers who can't qualify at the bank was very, very easy even before this market heated up like it did. Now, when the market heated up, just think about it. If houses are selling pretty quickly out there, all cash, nice houses in nice neighborhoods, can you imagine how quickly they'd sell when I don't have to have them qualify at a bank? And I openly publicize no credit, no banks, lease purchase. What do you think happens? The floodgates open. So it's not a matter of finding one. It's a matter of finding the ones with the most money, because we let the market tell us how much they want to give us for a non-refundable option deposit, which goes toward their down payment. We never, ever tell anybody how much we want down or how much we want per month. In other words, I've learned over the years, shut the hell up and let the other side tell you what they will do. And you will almost always discover it's better than what you were about to open your mouth and offer to them. I name the price, never the down, never the monthly. They tell me what's most they can pay. That's how we get to big down payments.
Wow. And that's so huge. I mean, as soon as you collect that down payment on the lease option, you've recouped your money on anything you had to put down on the seller financing to buy it, correct?
Way more than recouped it. I mean, I'm not in it to put down 20 grand and get back 20 grand. Most of the deals we buy are little or nothing down. I have a very cool script that's been time tested. And if we don't get them for nothing down, we're going to get them very close, or we're just simply not going to buy them, except in rare cases. If I can get a great big monthly spread, or I can get a lot of equity in it, and I have to put out almost as much as I'm going to get back, I'd still do the deal. But the big paydays are on those front-end non-refundable deposits, George. And frankly, they're coming a few days after you get control of the house. Because if you put this thing on the market, it ain't going to take long to find somebody with money. And again, I'll say it again, the higher price the house, the more money people are running around with anyway. Don't confuse this with all of you landlords who've been trying to get money out of low-end houses near or in the war zone. You're trying to sell to people that are broke. Never a good business. Go sell to people who have the money. Somebody looking at a $500,000 house is not going to call me and say, I got $500 and can I pay $1,000 a month? Can I move in? Well, they might call me, but that conversation is going to be very short. Right? So think about it. If you're going to buy a $500,000 house, it's above the FHA limit, most areas, you got to put 20% down.
Right.
Well, general public knows that. So, people are not running around looking at the nice houses that are broke. So it's easier to get money out of them up front. They may not have all of it. They need $100,000 down to buy that house. Well, I might let them in with 50, probably would. But that means I'm going to get it from the seller for anywhere from nothing down to $10,000 or $15,000 down. And so the rest I get to keep. And that's the big front end payday.
Wow.
But it's
that's
not
huge.
Not
the only payday at all, huh?
No way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned, stepping out of those bad neighborhoods. I feel like we all want to start there. You started there, correct?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
20 years worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, I mean, just kind of breaking that mindset of, thinking I have to start in these low end neighborhoods. I have to, be restoring crack houses to going, well, let's just go into the nice neighborhood and just start there.
Right. And that's, you just hit on my biggest problem with working with people. And that is I have to change their thinking. Mm-hmm. If I can't change their thinking, I can't change anything else for them either. They come to me, they have all the misconceptions about real estate, most of which are just totally false. They hear it from people who have no idea what they're talking about, and they take it to heart. I think one of the biggest ones is they just don't really believe that they deserve to make a lot more money, George. They've been conditioned all of their lives, swap hours for dollars, work for the man, be a good American citizen, do what you're told, don't raise any cane. And they just, over time, you hang around broke people long enough, they'll teach you to be broke. Fortunately, you can fix that by hanging around people that aren't broke and learning from people that aren't broke. Because broke people are not qualified to teach you how to get rich, are they?
No, probably not.
They have an opinion, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's an expert on real estate, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So our market here in Coeur d'Alene has just gone absolutely crazy. I mean, the FHA cap is kind of a joke now. So this is kind of the place that would work best for these lease options.
It doesn't matter where you're at, George. It doesn't make any difference where you're at. I got students all over Canada, students from Seattle all the way down to Miami. It makes no difference where you're at. There's people are always going to have a need to sell houses, and other people are always going to need to buy houses. That's not long before we came along, long after we're gone. That's the same thing. So we're in a business that's not going to go away. It's not a fad. It's not some software company. It's going to go out of style. It's real estate. I mean, come on. We didn't invent this business. We just put a little creative juices to it now and then. And a lot of times change, the laws change. But the basic principle of real estate is never going to change. People always have to have a place to live, regardless of what the government tries to do or the interest rates. I've been through 6 cycles. When I started in 1982, the prime rate was 16%. You can imagine living in that economy and trying to do real estate. Real estate licenses were given away. They were thrown in the trash. Couldn't sell houses, which is where I learned actually the terms, financing, owner financing and the like. Had to, or you couldn't buy houses. So as the market changes, we change with it. As the times change, we change with them. As the laws change, we change with them. So we're constantly on the cutting edge and adapting to whatever some government entity or whoever wants to do to screw things up, not having really idea what they're doing. You take the Texas law. Texas says I can't lease option a property and collect a big non-refundable deposit for more than 6 months. Okay, what good is that law and who does it help? I have no idea, but I can promise you that law was made with no real estate investor minds involved in it, because that would have never taken place if anybody with any influence at all would have stepped in and say, why are you guys doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Look at the law they just did in Illinois, whether you know it or not. Illinois and right above Texas. And in Colorado, it is, what's right above Texas?
Oklahoma?
I'm losing it. Oklahoma, thank you. Started with an O. Okay. both of those states have laws now that I can't assign a contract. So I can't wholesale houses in those states anymore. Oklahoma just passed theirs November the 1st, following after Illinois. Okay, so if I'm in the wholesaling business, all I'm doing is assigning contracts in those two states. I better be finding something else to do, or I better be finding someplace else to do it. Now, they can sell them if they buy them, and they can sell them if they have a real estate license. So I wonder who pushed those laws through. Wouldn't have anything to do with realtors, would it?
No, probably not.
So all we do is adapt. And frankly, most of us wholesalers, as you well know, are wholesaling all over the country anyway. It doesn't make any difference where the house is or where you are. It's pretty much all virtual today. Mm-hmm. We hang around a bunch of those, don't we, George?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned staying ahead of the changes in the laws and things. One thing I love about Planet Ron is, you never guarantee debt personally, and the other one is you use land trusts to hold your properties. Now, how complicated are those, and why do you love them?
Okay, you should refer to them as Grantor Revocable Trust, and then maybe you're an attorney and have a clue what you're talking about. Some know, some don't. Okay, they're simply a trust that holds title to a property. They're so simple. They have no EIN number. There's no federal filing. There's no form to fill out to Form 1. And here's the big four benefits of it. And there's no bank account. They don't even have a bank account. So they're not a business. Number one, you have total privacy. When you put your property into a trust, nowhere on the deed does it show who the beneficial interest is, which are the owners of the trust. So the world has no idea who the owners of the trust are. And it's no place, it's recorded no place except in your trust agreement in your filing cabinet at home. So the public cannot even find out who the beneficial interest is like they can on corporations in most states. So you have total privacy. Number two, if I have a judgment against you, will not attach to a property you do not own. It'll attach to a property you own. But when you have a property in a trust, you don't own the property, you own the trust that owns the property, including an IRS tax lien. So you have lien avoidance attaching to the property just because it's in a trust. And thirdly, trusts don't die, people die. So if you, let's say husband and wife are the beneficial interest of the trust, there's no probate. Husband or you and anybody, the other beneficiary, don't even have to be, you're married to them, there's still no probate. Nobody even knows who the beneficial interests are. Nothing changes down to the courthouse. So you have probate avoidance and estate tax avoidance to a great degree, depending on what the rest of your state looks like. Now, and then lastly, but certainly not all, there's a whole bunch of other benefits. You have ease of transfer. So if you understand what a land trust is, and I want to sell my house to you, I just transfer the beneficial interest to my trust to you. There are no closing costs. The trust still owns a house downtown. We just internally change the owner of the trust by assigning my beneficial interest to you. It's a taxable transfer, but as far as the public is concerned, it never happened. So we have ease of transfer as long as both parties are clear on what the trust is. And it costs nothing to do. It does not need an attorney to put a property into a land trust. On the other hand, if I'm purchasing a property, George, I want the attorney to use my warranty deed to trustee, let them go ahead and fill out the right deed and record it, and then it's in a land trust. So when the deed is recorded to the trust is formed. Then we go and we just fill out the little 5 or 6 blanks that need to be filled out in the trust agreement, put in our filing cabinet. So easy, so simple, so free, and yet everybody wants to complicate the hell out of it. And attorneys will advise you probably put it in an LLC. Some even advise taking title to every single house in a different LLC, which is absolutely ludicrous to me. That's a different fee every year, a different filing every year, and a different tax return every year. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, I can put 10 land trusts and have the one LLC be the beneficiary, and that's what you were talking about earlier. One tax return. I don't have anything to file except one tax return for the LLC, one bank account, one EIN number. So simple. And I have the same protection as if I put it in an LLC. As long as the ownership of the trust and the LLC are done correctly, I have the same protection in the land trust I do in an LLC.
Yeah, and probably even more. I mean, I've been reading a lot about LLCs and structuring my entities, and it turns out in a lot of states, they're almost useless. I mean, it's super easy to pierce the corporate veil on those.
Not done right. if they're not done right, or if they're a solo, if they're a one owner, might as well not have anything because it's not going to, well, they're okay for other purposes, but from asset protection point of view, never a solely owned LLC.
Okay.
Which I all that stuff, but not today.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up on that. This is a really complicated topic. But the land trusts, I mean, the non-revocable grantor trusts, as they're called.
Revocable.
Revocable grantor trusts. Okay.
Yes.
So those revocable grantor trusts, they're super easy to set up. I mean, would you recommend those even to beginner real estate investors?
I absolutely do. Every time I open my mouth.
Yeah.
Every single family house should be owned in a grantor revocable, commonly referred to as land trust. One house, one trust, one egg, one basket.
Mm-hmm. And then all those baskets under an LLC.
All those baskets being owned by LLC, it has no liability for anything that happens on one of those properties. That property might go away, but not the other 9.
Mm-hmm. That's so crucial. I mean, asset protection, tax minimization.
If I did what some attorneys would tell me to do, I'd just title 10 properties to an LLC.
Mm-hmm.
On public record, the LLC owns all 10 of them. Therefore, what happens to one happens to all of them. That's how people lose their entire estate.
Wow.
Poor advice or no advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think setting up all the LLCs too would mostly benefit your attorneys.
Yeah, probably so, but I mean, it don't cost much to set up an LLC. And we use Bob Bloom to do that out of Texas. He charges $497 for my customers anyway. To set them up, but he does it right. And there is a big difference between a Legal Doom LLC you do online and an LLC set up with a proper asset protection firm, because a lot of people are using LLCs that are really not protecting them well.
Well, shoot, I think I see the plan. I need to get over on Planet Ron, get some education, further my interests. Let's shift gears a little, Ron. What do you got in the pipeline for 2022, and what's exciting you?
Well, we got a lot of things in the pipeline. My company's Global Publishing Inc. Been around since 1999, and that's when it started. I started in 1987 actually teaching. But it's 40 or 50 employees. I can't keep track of them. I don't run the company anymore. I have a great team down there running the company. I actually went to a meeting yesterday. I was impressed. They invited me to a meeting yesterday. I'm sitting here doing this at home. Today, I don't have a whole lot to do, but I still teach. I teach as much as I have the opportunity to do it. I do a 4-day event every other month live, and then every other month virtual. That's the one that I've been doing for years, created so many millionaires, called a Quick Start Real Estate School. I still teach that personally. I teach a couple of events called business management, and then I teach a couple of commercial property boot camps a year, and then a few one-day events along the way. But other than that, that's my participation. Other than going back and forth with email and with many of them and doing things like this. I do a lot of podcasts, as I'm sure you do. Enjoy doing those most of the time. Just kidding, George. Just kidding.
Well, I know this is one of the ones you enjoy.
But right. But today I got putzing around with classic cars. I got a handful of those, and I spent some time working on those. And there ain't no money in that, I'll tell you that. But it kind of keeps me busy. I got to keep busy. I just can't sit around and not do anything. Some people spend their life trying to get out of work. I spend my life working. I mean, the last thing I want to do is get out of work, because a lot of people go through their entire life and don't even realize that work is what you get up in the morning to do. Work is what keeps you going. If it's work you want to do, and if it's not, you should be doing some work that you want to do. So I'm always looking for more work to do.
Yeah, classic cars will do that. You never run out of things to do with those.
Yeah, that's true.
So Ron, where can we go to learn more about the 4-day boot camp you have? I think I need to attend one of those.
Well, I think first we ought to get acquainted with the terms business and see if that's to our liking. And if you want to do real estate, I think you'll find it to your liking. You can go to ronlegrand.com/Ron's Terms, was it? Help me here. Ron's Terms. So Ron LeGrand, that's LEGRAND, not LA, and there's no E on the end. ronlegrand.com/Ron's, no apostrophe, terms. And there you'll find about an hour and 15-minute training that I did on the step-by-step what we do. And I think you'll find it very interesting, because by the time it's over, you'll understand how we get paid, how we find the houses, how we find the buyers. In fact, even the scripts we use to talk to these sellers, because most of them won't do terms, George. Let's face it. We're not dealing with the majority. We're dealing with the minority, and that's all we care about. So today we have a script, and if they don't do terms, then we find out how much they'll take for all cash. And today, I tell people, if the house is in excellent condition and it's ready to resell when you get it and you want to resell it, I pay up to 80% of the the after repair value for it. But a lot of people unknowingly are asking lower than they are, because they're going to the Zillow to get their Zestimate, which is almost always less than what the house is worth, but they don't know that. So we're already starting with a little reduced price, so we won't have to come down much to get people accepting 80% of their for all cash. And then also, we teach how to get that money with private lenders, not loan sharks, but private lenders. I dealt with people in the mortgage business for a long time, paid the higher price, didn't mind, because without them, I wouldn't have started back in 1982. I became a mortgage broker for 15 years, lending out other people's money, when I quickly realized I could get all of what I want if I just started flapping my lips. That's why people that are in the industry that are honest, that are helping people get money until they learn how to get it themselves, are a big plus in our industry today. And back then, I paid 10 points, George, 18% interest and 6 months interest prepayment penalty to get money to pay cash for a house. Okay. So when people bitch about the race today, think about that. Okay. Anyway, go there and you'll get updated on the terms business, and you'll get a chance to buy my terms course at a deeply discounted price. And then if you want to upgrade to my 4-day event, when you buy the course, we'll get you the information on the 4-day event. And maybe you can come see the old guy here in person. I'll be, I don't know how long it takes you to put this podcast up, but the schedule will be published when they get there. Six live, I alternate them, 6 live, 6 virtual, and they all for the price of one. Okay. Come as many as you want.
Wow, that's so awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to attend one. I miss you, Ron. It's been a few months.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron, would you leave us with a joke? I know you're famous for these.
Okay, you want me to leave you with a joke? I don't have jokes. They're called culture, not jokes.
Well, leave us with some culture from Planet Ron.
All right. So there's this old farmer, and he's got this pond, and he's got fruit trees all around his pond, and he decides to grab a bucket one day and go down to the pond and pick some fruit. And he gets down to the pond, and there's 3 ladies in the pond, all skinny dipping. And they holler, and so they all go to the deep end and say, "We ain't coming out till you leave." So he holds up his bucket and say, "Well, listen, ladies, I didn't come down here to see you guys naked. I just came to feed the alligator." all men still can.
Oh, I love it. I love it. No one like you, Ron. But hey, I want to thank you for your time, and thanks for showing up on the podcast. I mean, you are an absolute legend. This is such an honor for me.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. All right.
All right.
See you soon.
All right. Take care, Ron.
Bye-bye.